What's going on, ladies and gents? Welcome back to the channel. My name's CJ, and in today's video, we're going to be looking at some more NBA player props over on PrizePicks today. We got a 3-game slate. Bunch of pretty good competitive looking games here. Good totals. Spreads don't look too crazy in terms of blowout risk. So we'll definitely be getting into some points, some rebounds, some assists, and some 3-point makes in today's video. Now, yesterday's video did pretty darn well. We went 7 for 8. So hopefully you tailed some of the picks that I mentioned in yesterday's video. The only guy who spoiled a perfect 8 for 8 day for us was Danilo Gallinari. Gallinari had plenty of opportunities, plenty of shots. He just had another abysmal game shooting the basketball, plain and simple. He just wasn't making the shots that he had the opportunities to make. So we'll forgive him this time. We went 7 for 8. Got to be happy with those results. Hopefully we can run it back tonight on today's NBA schedule. So if you're not subscribed to the channel yet, well, definitely make sure that you are with notifications turned on. As I mentioned in these more recent videos, when this video goes live, when I upload it to YouTube, you've got about 1 hour until the lines makers over at PrizePicks start adjusting the markets accordingly. So if we're looking to take an over on someone, they're going to bump that number up after about an hour or so. If we're looking to take the under on someone, they're going to bump that down. So we got to make sure that notifications are turned on and that you're subscribed to the videos so that you're not missing out on any of the picks before they move. So with that little piece of info out of the way, I've got links down in the description for you to join me over on Discord, where we talk about daily fantasy sports and PrizePicks all day long. I've got links for you to join Patreon if you want even more content than I can provide in today's video. And we've got links for Twitter if you want to go and follow me on Twitter. I typically tweet some funny stuff out once in a while, and definitely some contest type of things too, like our Follower Friday, which should be making its return tomorrow. So I'll keep you posted with more information on that. Now, if you've never played on PrizePicks before, now is a fantastic time to do so. Down at the banner at the bottom of this video, you'll see that you'll get a 100% first time deposit match up to $100. So if you put in $100, they're going to match it and give you $100 to play with. So you'll have $200 to get started on your PrizePicks journey. Should be plenty of money to carry you through the entire NBA playoffs. So definitely, if you haven't joined PrizePicks yet, go down into the description of this video, click the link, and use promo code Curry, just like it says down in the banner here. Use promo code Curry to get that promotion. So let's go ahead and start getting into some of these games and looking at the totals and spreads here. The first game we've got is the Milwaukee Bucks versus the Miami Heat. Miami is in dire straits. They're in deep trouble, deep doo-doo. They've been blown out now by Milwaukee in a couple of games here. Now, tonight's total is 224.5 points. Pretty healthy total. We've got a spread of just 2 points here with Miami as the 2-point underdog at home against this Milwaukee Bucks team. Could Miami's fortunes turn around tonight? That is the big question. We'll have to look and see. The next game we have is the Phoenix Suns versus the Los Angeles Lakers. This one is the lowest total of all 3 of tonight's games, as has been the case throughout this series. Not a ton of points being scored here. It's been a type of series where it's very defensive minded. So that tends to lend itself to us taking more unders than overs in situations where the game totals are very low or implied to be very low. Now, the spread on this one is also the largest of the 3 games. 6.5-point favorites are the Los Angeles Lakers, so this one does have some potential to blow out. There is a blowout risk at hand here. Which brings us to our last game, the Denver Nuggets at the Portland Trail Blazers. This one has the highest total of any of the 3 games, 227 implied points. We've got Portland as 3.5-point home favorites in this one. So not a super huge spread at all. This one does have the highest totals, as I mentioned. Very competitive spread. So it's the type of game where you can look to target maybe some overs. Some good overplays could come from this one. So that's how I'm feeling about these 3 games. That's how things are looking and shaping up. So with that out of the way, let's start getting into some of these player props here. First guy I want to look at is Brook Lopez, the big man for the Milwaukee Bucks. So let's flip over to the points category. He's at 11.5 points today. They take on the Heat at 7:40 p.m. Eastern Standard Time over on PrizePicks. So let's do a little search here for Brook Lopez. We are on Number Fire as we have been in the last, I don't know, 1 million videos that we've uploaded. Brook Lopez is at 11.6 points, which indicates a slight favorite for him to go over 11.5 points. That would push him closer to 12 points or more. So if he scores 12 or more, we're in very good shape, especially if we're targeting the overs in this matchup here. So we're going to move things over to NBA.com, another free site for you to check out. We type in Brook Lopez, open up his player card here, and you can see that his points per game average for the season is 12.3 points. Now, 12.3 obviously is a good sign for an over once again. So let's go into his more recent games and see how he's been performing in this series here. So we don't have to do too much clicking or looking around here. You can see that it's already set up for us. 2 games played here, 29.6 minutes per game, and he's averaging 12.5 points in this series so far against the Miami Heat. So again, another good indication that we could definitely look at going over on Brook Lopez. Let's do one more last step here. We'll open up his game logs for the season against this Miami Heat team and see how well he's been scoring against them in previous matchups. Let's remove this playoff filter. And you can see he's faced Miami 3 times this season, 23.5 minutes per game, so slightly lower than where he's at so far in this series. And he's averaged 13 points per game. So far we've got season logs against the Miami Heat where he scored over 11.5 points. So far in this series, he is scoring more than 11.5 points. Plus, his season averages indicate that he has scored more than 11.5 points per game. So everything's looking like a very good play here for Brook Lopez. Now, last but not least, we're going to go over to rotowire.com. We're going to type in Brook Lopez's name, and we're going to take a look at the various sports books and see if the action's going under or over on his 11.5 point prop. So this first book we have here, you're seeing that it's even, a -113 under and over. So no real telltale signs from that one. This next one, though, has him as a -112 for the over, so that's a good indication. Even though it's slight, a good indication that people are leaning more toward the over than the under in this situation. And last but not least, he is a -120 to go over 11.5 points. So guys, I think everything aligns for me. I don't see a reason why I would take this prop under or fade this prop in any way. I think we've got enough evidence here that shows that Brook Lopez on any given night could go for 12, 13 points in this matchup. So I'm going to stick with it, taking the over on Brook Lopez. The next guy I want to talk about is Dennis Schroeder, the point guard for the Los Angeles Lakers. Of course, they're taking on the Phoenix Suns tonight. This is a later game, tips off at 10:10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time over on PrizePicks. We've got Dennis Schroeder at 14.5 points. That seems a little bit too high for me. I think I'm looking to take the under here. So let's go back to Number Fire real quick. We'll type in Dennis's name. Now I've got Schroeder projected for 14 points. So there's not a big differential here, obviously, between 14 and 14.5 points, just a 0.5 point differential. So even though it is a slight favorite for the under, it's not a huge under according to the projections on Number Fire. But that's okay. We're going to move things over to NBA.com. Let's type in Dennis's name. There's only 2 Dennises in the NBA. One is Dennis Smith Jr., and we're not talking about him today. Now, his points per game, Schroeder, is 15.4 points per game. But you have to keep in mind that LeBron has missed a lot of time. Anthony Davis has missed a lot of time. Plus, you didn't have Andre Drummond for much of the season, another big factor in this offense. So let's go ahead and click on the stats. And we're going to change this from regular season to playoffs. And you can see that in 2 games, he's played almost 34 minutes per game. He is averaging 19 points per game, which is pretty darn impressive. It's much higher than both his season averages and his more recent game averages here. I don't think that this is going to be something that is sustainable. I think at some point, other players will get involved, whether it be LeBron, AD, whether it be Andre Drummond or KCP, another guy that I'm looking forward to him breaking out of his slump. He's getting plenty of opportunities, but that's for a whole nother time. I do like some KCP tonight. So anyway, let's go ahead and click the traditional splits here, and let's look at how Dennis Schroeder has performed against the Phoenix Suns this season. We'll go ahead and click Advanced Filters, change his opponent to just the Phoenix Suns. And let's click run it and see what happens here. All right, so he's played them 2 times in the regular season, 34 minutes per game in those, and he scored 19.5 points. So the guy just happens to have the Phoenix Suns number, it seems like, in this series and for the season. So it's making me a little bit nervous to consider taking the over on this 14.5 point prop. But again, I just don't think he's going to continue to score 19 to 20 points per game in this situation here, not with big usage monsters on the team like LeBron and AD. So let's go ahead and move it over here to RotoWire. I'm not feeling super strong about this play just yet based on our research that we do together here. At 14.5 points across the board here, we've got him as a -113 under and over, so he's even on this first sports book. The next one's got him as a -116 under, indicating that they like him to go under 14.5 points, 14 or less. And then finally, a stronger position being taken out on the under here. People are buying into the under 14.5 points at a -120. So we've got 3 different sports books here. 2 of them have him going under 14.5 points, but the averages are a little bit scary. I do expect for him to snap back to something closer to maybe his season averages, or just less than 19 or 20 points. I just don't see him continuing to score at such a high clip. And this could be the type of game where he comes back down to earth. So I'm going to stick to taking the under on Dennis Schroeder. If I'm going one way or the other, it's going to be under. All right, so with those 2 points props out of the way, we can move over to assists. I've got 2 assist props that I want to look at today. The first assist prop is going to be the Greek Freak, Giannis Antetokounmpo, taking on the Miami Heat. This game tips off at 7:40 p.m. So let's go look at Number Fire's projections for Giannis's assists today and see which way we should be looking. So they've got him at 6.6 dimes, guys. That's 5.5 assists over on PrizePicks. So 6.6, obviously 1.1 assists more than the projection over on PrizePicks. So the over is looking like a decent way to go here. So let's head over to NBA.com and see how well Giannis has been dropping dimes for the course of the season. And we'll look at how he's done in the series so far as well, and previous matchups against this Miami Heat squad. Now for the season, 5.9 assists per game puts him right there next to 6 assists per game, which indicates that the over is definitely possible here for Giannis Antetokounmpo. So we click the stats category, and then you can see that for this series so far, 2 games, he's played over 38 minutes per game, and he is averaging 5.5 assists. So he falls right in line with his projection over on PrizePicks today. So this is kind of one of those, well, it could go one way or it could go the other, a coin flip type of situation, right? So let's dig in a little bit deeper and see how well he's done against this Miami Heat team this season in previous matchups. So we'll change the advanced filter and the opponent to just the Miami Heat. Click run it, and we'll take a look at his assist numbers for this season. In 3 previous matchups against this Miami Heat squad in the regular season, 6.7 assists per game. So that lends itself to kind of being that tiebreaker for us, right? Because so far in this series, he's at 5.5 assists, but we can go and lean on these previous game logs against this Miami Heat squad where he's put up 6.7 assists per game, which would be more than enough to get him over this 5.5 assist prop tonight. All right, so we're going to head back over to RotoWire. We're going to look at Giannis Antetokounmpo and his 5.5 assists across the industry today and see which way people are going here. I got him at a -113 under and -113 over here. So we're seeing some even action here, not really getting a strong play at one way or the other. Now this one, a slight favorite to go under in this situation, a -114, and a little bit of a stronger position being taken out here at a -120 to go under. But you do see a little bit of action on the over here, -110 over here, -106. So maybe people are taking the under because they believe that this game could potentially blow out once again. The Vegas lines makers, it doesn't look like it's going to be a blowout. It looks like it's going to stay close. And at some point, you know, this Miami Heat team has to dig its heels in and fight back really against this Milwaukee Bucks squad. So hopefully this game's not another blowout. If it does stay close, I do expect Giannis Antetokounmpo to go over this 5.5 assist prop. It just looks like it's one of those ones where, you know, he could be dropping dimes to the likes of Drew Holiday and Dante DiVincenzo and Chris Middleton and our guy Brook Lopez, who we talked about at the top of the show for his points prop. So I'm going to take the over on Giannis Antetokounmpo and hope for the very, very best here. Which brings us to our next guy, which is Austin Rivers, the I don't know, point guard, shooting guard, combo guard for the Denver Nuggets. He's at 2.5 assists today, and at 2.5 assists, kind of sounds crazy because he is a guard, but 2.5 assists sounds a little bit high for his role on this team. So let's go ahead and head back to Numberfire. We'll type in Austin's name, and you can see that Numberfire's got him at 2.4 assists. So that is a slight under on this 2.5 assist prop over on PrizePicks, which lends itself to believe that, you know, maybe 2 assists or less are in the cards here for Austin Rivers according to these projections. So let's head on over here to NBA.com because Austin Rivers is going to be one of those tricky situations. Doesn't have a lot of playing time with the Denver Nuggets. He joined them late in the season after Jamal Murray and Monte Morris went down, and Will Barton. All those guys were down with injuries. So they added Austin Rivers late in the year. But you can see that his season average is 2.3 assists, which is, again, less than 2.5. So the under's definitely still on the table for us. And you can see that in the series so far, he's played in 2 games, almost 27 minutes per game. Not bad for a role player. And then finally, his assists per game are 2.5, putting him right on the money once again. With the PrizePicks prop. So not really giving us any help there. So let's head over to RotoWire. We'll take a look at Austin Rivers. I didn't even bother looking at any previous game logs for Rivers against Portland because I don't even think he was on the team long enough to face the Trailblazers at all. So wouldn't be a fair sample size. But we'll type in Rivers' name here on RotoWire and take a look at him. He's at 2.5 dimes on 2 different sports books, but we've got him a little different here. We've got him 2 different ways here. We got a minus 115 on the over, which isn't a super strong position, right? We've even got him as a minus 105 on the under. That's the other sports book. We're seeing a much stronger position being taken out here on the under 2.5 assists, a minus 128. So that kind of makes me feel a little bit better. It's stronger odds, obviously, that he goes under 2.5 assists. But this is one of those props where it's kind of like, you know, you lock it in and it could be one of those coin flip 50-50 type of situations there. So if you want to gamble, if you want to live on the wild side a little bit, you could take the under on this 2.5 assist prop on Austin Rivers. Cross your fingers and hope for the best. All right, so that brings us to our rebound props. We've got 2 guys that we're going to talk about. Both of them happen to be Michaels. The first one is Michael Bridges of the Phoenix Suns, who's at 3.5 rebounds today against the Los Angeles Lakers. 3.5 boards seems a little light. I think Bridges is in a position here to where he could potentially go over 3.5 boards, meaning we've got to get 4 or more rebounds out of him tonight. Now, why this one caught my eye was this projection right here, 4.8 rebounds. Obviously, that is quite a bit more than 3.5. Even if we rounded this down to 4 rebounds, well, he would still be in a good position to go over according to the projections. So we're going to head over to NBA.com. We're going to type in Bridges' name there and see how well he's been rebounding the basketball this year. Now, for the season averages, he's at 4.3 rebounds per game, which is, again, more than 3.5. The over still definitely in play here. Let's click his stats category. You can see that for the playoffs here, he's played in 2 games, over 33 minutes per game, and his rebound averages are at 3, which are lower than his season averages. So could this be a good bounce back spot here for Michael Bridges? I don't know. So you look at this series average of 3 rebounds, and then you look at a season average of 4.3 rebounds. So 3 to 4 rebounds, you know, it's going to be one of those ones where it's a probably a sweat type of prop. So let's go ahead and dig in and look at his previous games against the Los Angeles Lakers for the season and see how well he's rebounded against them this year. Click Advanced Filters. We'll change the opponent to just LAL, Los Angeles Lakers, and click Run It. All right, so he's faced them 3 times. Played almost 36 minutes per game, pretty good. And his rebounds per game are at 5 boards. So there you go. He could definitely get it done here, guys. The over on these rebounds is not impossible. He's averaged 5 boards against them in 3 previous matchups in the regular season. So it's definitely not impossible. So let's go ahead and hit the rebound category. We'll type in Bridges' name. And we've got him at 3.5 boards across the industry today. We've got him as a -113 under and over, so even on this first sports book. This next one, though, we've got him as a -130, very strong odds. Looking pretty good, even over here at -133, even better or stronger odds on the over 3.5 rebounds. So I'm going to take the over here on Michael Bridges. Don't really see anything that's knocking me off course, that's making me want to flip-flop or fade this pick. I'm going to stick with it and go with the over on Michael Bridges. And I mentioned another Michael. That is Michael Porter Jr. of the Denver Nuggets, who's at 7.5 boards. I had him going over according to my initial research. So let's go ahead and type in Porter's name. You can see that he's at 8.6 projected rebounds today, which puts him as a favorite to go over. 8.6, even if we rounded that down to 8, that still gives him plenty of headway to clear 7.5 rebounds. So let's move ahead here and look at the other stats for Michael Porter Jr. and see if the over is a good play here. Now for the season, his rebounds are a little bit light. They're a little bit under 7.5. Closer to 7 rebounds per game than he is 8 on a given basis. But let's go ahead and look at his more recent games here. You can see that in this series, he's played 2 games, averaging over 35 minutes per game. His rebounds per game in the series so far are at 6.5, which would not get it done if we're looking to take the over. So that is a little bit worrisome. So let's click traditional splits, advanced filters, change his opponent to just the Portland Trail Blazers, click run it, and we can get an idea how well he's performed against Portland this season in the rebound category. So he's faced him 3 times. His minutes a bit light, 28.5 minutes per game, and his rebounds are also light given the fact that he hasn't played as many minutes as he has so far in this series. So this one's not looking super crystal clear to me so far. So maybe the different sports books will give a little more information to persuade me that the over is definitely the way I should be going here. So we've got him at 7.5 boards on 2 different books. Now, let's just start with this one where he's an even -110 under and over. Not really helping us out at all. But here's where we do get a little help, a little information, a little persuasion to go over on these rebounds. A -139 according to the folks over on DK. They're taking the over at -139. So this is looking like a tough slate so far. I'm seeing some picks here, some props here that are a little difficult. They're not looking like a super clear path to victory. But I'm going to stick to the over on Michael Porter Jr. and believe that he can get it done in a game that has a pretty high total and a close spread. Let's hope that it does stay close. All right, with that one out of the way, we're moving over to some 3-point props. We're back to Michael Bridges again. We just can't get away from the Michaels. Michael Bridges, obviously Phoenix Suns swingman. He's at 1.5 3-pointers made. Now, he's been hitting this prop with pretty great success here recently. I've taken it on a number of occasions, and he just keeps coming through for me. So let's hope he can do it again against this Lakers squad tonight. Let's head back over to NBA.com. We will type in Bridges' name here and see if we can get some info on how well he's been shooting it from beyond the arc for the season, in this series, and in previous matchups against this Lakers team. So let's do this first. Let's change this from season type to regular season. And you can see he's appeared in 72 games this season. In those games, 4.4 3-pointers attempted per game, making 1.9. Good for a 42.5% 3-point field goal percentage. So that's not very good. In terms of, wait, I take that back. That is good. 1.9, he's only at 1.5. For some reason, I was thinking he's at 2.5. 1.9 is good. Sorry, guys. 1.9 means he's very close to 2. He's making close to 2 3-pointers per game, and he's shooting a damn good percentage at 42.5%. All right, so now that we have that out of the way, let's look at his playoff shooting percentages and attempts. So he's attempting 4.5 3-pointers per game, making 2 of them per game. And his percentages are actually up a little bit at 44.4%. So far the over on this 1.5 3-point prop is looking good. Like I said, guys, he's been hitting this with pretty good regularity here. So let's click traditional splits. Let's change the filters to just the Los Angeles Lakers. Clear out the playoffs here, and you can see that he's faced LA 3 times this season, playing almost 36 minutes per game. In those matchups, 3.7 3-pointers attempted per game, so a little light there on the attempts. I wish this was like 4 or more, but it's pretty close to 4. And he's making 1.7, which means that he is more often than not closer to 2 3-point makes per game than he is just 1. So everything's looking great so far here for Michael Bridges in this 3-point prop. Let's go ahead and click the 3-point category. We're going to type in Michael's name, M-I-K-A-L, an interesting way to spell it. And we've got him at 1.5 3-point makes across 3 different books. Now, this first one, he is an even -113, but we've got 2 other books here to reference. And on this one, a -138 to go over, which is looking super strong. And last but not least, a -125 to go over 1.5 3-point makes. So yeah, this is going to be one of my favorite picks of the video. You guys are always in the comment section. What's your favorite pick? What's your favorite plays? Which ones are you liking? Which ones are you going to put in your lineup? Well, I like all of them until I start doing the research, and then I kind of start getting a little, I feel strong about this. I don't feel so strong, but this one I do feel good about. Michael Bridges over 1.5 3-point makes. I'm taking it. It's looking good. Now, a guy that I mentioned earlier was Contavious Caldwell Pope. I kind of dropped some breadcrumbs for you, a little hint, a little foreshadowing to what was to come. And we're going to talk about his 3-point props here. He has been struggling in this series so far. He's getting shots. He's getting plenty of shots and attempts, but he's just not making them. Similar to our friend from yesterday, Danilo Gallinari, who we were looking to have one of those slump buster type of games coming out of his slump, bouncing back. Maybe that's Contavious Caldwell Pope, KCP tonight. Let's find out. 1.5 3-point makes. We're going to go back to NBA.com. Let's go ahead and type in Cald. And there he is. The man of the hour, the man, the myth, the legend, KCP. Let's click his stats column. And you can see that for the season, he attempts 4.4 3-pointers per game and makes 1.8. So that's good for a 41% 3-point field goal percentage, which is a very good percentage. 40% or more, you're a pretty darn good shooter from beyond the arc. So hopefully he returns closer to those season averages. We know he can shoot the ball a little bit. It's just a matter of making them. He's getting the attempts. He's just not getting the makes. But at 1.8 3-pointers made per game, that puts him over 1.5 and lends itself to being closer to 2 3-point makes than 1. So that is a good sign. So let's change this from regular season to playoffs. You can see that in the 2 games that he's faced this Phoenix Suns squad, 32.8 minutes per game. Now, his scoring is pretty bad here. 3.5 points per game so far in this series. He is attempting 5.5 3-pointers per game. He is making just 0.5 3-pointers per game. Good for 9.1%. Now, you may have seen the clip of LeBron James getting in his face, getting in his ear, instilling confidence in this young man to continue to shoot the basketball. That is his role on this team. He's kind of like the Danny Green of the past, the J.R. Smith of the past for this Los Angeles Lakers squad. He is their designated 3-and-D type of guy here. So he's going to continue to shoot. And I believe that his averages will not stay at 9.1% from beyond the arc. It's just impossible. Can't happen, can it? I don't know. Maybe it can. Maybe he's just like done and he's cooked and he can't play basketball anymore. I don't think so, but I guess it's possible, right? So now let's go look at how well he shot against Phoenix throughout the season here in the previous matchups he's had. He's faced this Sun squad 3 times, 32.2 minutes per game. Now, he's not averaging a ton of points against them, 9.3 points per game. All right, he is attempting 6 threes per game against them, and he's making 1.7. Good for 27.8%, which is still a lot lower than his season average from beyond the arc. I think this is going to get better and better as the series goes on. I like it. I'm going to go back to the well here on Contavious Caldwell Pope. But before I do, I want to look at RotoWire real quick and see how the different sports bettors are doing on these sports books. So we've got KCP at 1.5 3-point makes across the industry today. Here we go. Minus 127 for the over, minus 130 for the over, and a minus 120 on the over. The only thing that stands out to me is that he is a minus 111 on the under on this last sports book, BetMGM. But guys, I think this is a good spot. I mean, at some point, he's got to return closer to his season averages. Those are no fluke. It's the biggest sample size we have to go off of, the biggest one that we can lean on. We're not asking the world. We're asking for 2 3-point makes. He's getting about 6 attempts per game. So, he's just got to get a couple of them to drop and build his confidence back up. Hopefully, LeBron's little pep talk was all that KCP needed to turn things around. But that's going to do it for today's video. There's your 8 picks of the day. Hopefully we can repeat yesterday's success. If this video helped you out, definitely give it a thumbs up. Like the video. We're going for as many likes as possible. I'm not setting a goal for today. Whatever you guys feel led to do, you do it. Like it as many times as you want. There's a couple of you out there who like to dislike the videos, and we had 3 dislikes on yesterday's video and we went 7 for 8. So hi, haters. Definitely make sure you're subscribed with notifications turned on. This is CJ. Good luck tonight if you're playing on PrizePicks or somewhere else. I hope you win some money. And until the next video, guys, peace out.